He, Lucas, CEO of a restaurant empire, visits his locations disguised as a regular employee. She, Maya, a young woman who overcame poverty, lands her first real job as a hostess. On Maya's disastrous first day, she, unaware of who he is, asks Lucas, the average waiter, for help with VIP clients. Lucas, amused, pretends to be an experienced waiter, impressing her. For days, he secretly trains her. At the end of one shift, Maya insists on sharing her tips with him, explaining that kind people deserve to be rewarded. Lucas is deeply touched by her generosity. The charade continues until Maya, shocked, discovers she has spent an entire week giving orders and offering tips to the CEO himself. Get ready for a twist where a misunderstanding turns into love and humiliation transforms into a promotion, proving that true character is revealed when you least expect it, and respect should be universal. Watch this story until the end. You'll be amazed by this story. If you enjoy love stories, romance, subscribe to this channel, leave a comment. We post videos like this every day. Moving on. Maya Santos adjusted the borrowed uniform for the third time that morning, trying to ignore the fact that the white blouse was a little too big and the black skirt a little too short. It was her first day as a hostess at Hartwell's, the most elegant establishment in Manhattan, and she couldn't afford to look out of place. At 23, Maya carried a weight on her shoulders that should have been shared among many. But life had taught her early on that we don't always have a choice about what we carry. The one-bedroom apartment in the Bronx where she lived with her grandma Dolores still smelled of the nighttime medicine. Maya had woken up at 5 in the morning to prepare her grandmother's coffee, organize her daily medication, and get everything ready before leaving for work. Dolores, who had raised Maya since she was 15 when her parents passed away in a car accident, now depended entirely on her granddaughter's care. Diabetes and high blood pressure had taken their toll, and the doctors were clear. It was only a matter of time before she needed full-time care. "You can do it, Mita," Dolores had whispered when Maya said goodbye. "You've always been strong, stronger than you think." Maya smiled as she remembered her grandmother's words while walking through the streets of Manhattan. Strong. She needed to be. For the past 8 years, she had worked as a cleaner, a store clerk, a waitress in cheap diners, a caregiver for the elderly, and even a delivery driver during the most desperate nights. Each job was a small victory against the poverty that surrounded her, but also a painful reminder of how far she was from the dreams she once had. As a child, Maya wanted to be a veterinarian. She loved the stray animals she secretly fed and dreamed of having a clinic where she could take care of them all. But dreams are expensive, and Maya learned that survival comes before dreams. High school was completed in fits and starts, always combined with jobs to help at home. College became a distant mirage when her parents were gone, and she found herself responsible for supporting a 2-person family with meager wages. Hartwell's restaurant stood before her like a castle of glass and marble. Maya had passed by that place hundreds of times, always imagining what it would be like to sit at one of those elegant tables, taste the food that magazines talked about, be part of that world of white tablecloths and crystal glasses. She never imagined she would enter through the front door as an employee. The opportunity had arisen almost miraculously. Maya was returning from another unsuccessful interview when she saw the ad in the window. Hostess, customer service experience required, apply in person. She didn't even have formal experience as a hostess, but her time in various jobs had taught her one thing: to treat all people with dignity, regardless of who they were or how much money they had. The interview with the manager had been tense. Daniel Mendonça, a 40-year-old man with a calculating look, questioned her about her lack of experience in fine dining. Maya was honest about her background, but emphasized her dedication and ability to learn quickly. Perhaps it was her sincerity, or perhaps the fact that she was willing to accept a lower salary than the previous candidates, but she got the job. $18 an hour plus tips. For Maya, who had never earned more than $1,200 a month, this represented a revolution. With luck and dedication, she could finally afford better health insurance for Dolores, maybe even hire a caregiver for the hours she was working. It was the opportunity she had been waiting for years. She arrived at the restaurant 30 minutes before her shift, as she always did in new jobs. Hartwell's facade was even more impressive up close. Smoked glass, vases with white orchids at the entrance, and a discreet valet service that was already receiving the first lunch cars. Maya took a deep breath, checked one more time if her hair was well secured, and walked inside. The interior was even more dazzling. The marble floor sparkled under the soft light of crystal chandeliers, and the aroma that filled the air was a sophisticated blend of spices and fresh flowers. The tables were arranged with millimeter precision, each with its impeccable tablecloth and discreet floral arrangement. It was a completely different world from the places she had worked before. Daniel appeared quickly, clearly rushed. "Maya, right? Look, I'll give you a basic orientation now because we have a situation in the kitchen that I need to resolve. It's very simple. You stay at the reception, greet the customers, check the reservations in this binder, and direct them to the tables. Always smile, be polite, and if you have any problems, call me, okay?" Maya nodded, trying to absorb the information quickly. Daniel pointed to the computer at the reception, briefly explained the reservation system, and practically ran towards the kitchen, leaving her alone with a mixture of nervousness and determination. She organized the reservation binder, checked the system, and positioned herself behind the reception desk. Her fingers tapped nervously on the marble surface as she watched the first customers arrive. They were elegant people, speaking softly, walking with the confidence of those who belonged to that environment. Maya wondered if she could live up to that place, if her humble origins would be too obvious. But then she remembered Dolores's words and all the jobs she had faced before. Each experience had taught her something. Cleaning had taught her attention to detail. Sales had taught her how to deal with different people. Working as a waitress had shown her the importance of good customer service. Maybe her journey wasn't traditional, but it was hers. Maya straightened her shoulders and smiled at the first couple approaching. It didn't matter if this world was new to her. She was here to work, to learn, and to build a better future for herself and Dolores. And if there was one thing life had taught her, it was that with dedication and respect for people, any door could open. The lunchtime rush was in full swing when Maya saw a man in dark jeans and a plain white shirt enter through the side door of the restaurant. He wore a waist apron and walked with the familiarity of someone who knew the place well. Maya immediately assumed he was a waiter arriving for his shift, maybe someone who had missed the morning briefing. "Excuse me," she called out, stepping out from behind the reception desk. "You must be here for the lunch shift, right? I'm Maya. I started today as a hostess." Lucas Hartwell stopped, surprised. In 10 years of making his undercover visits to the family restaurants, he had never been mistaken for a new employee by someone so genuinely helpful. The young woman in front of him had bright eyes filled with nervousness and determination, and she was treating him with a naturalness he hadn't experienced in a long time. "Ah, yes," he replied, deciding on the spur of the moment to go along with the misunderstanding. "Lucas, and you said it's your first day? First official day?" Maya smiled, and Lucas noticed how that smile lit up her whole face. "Look, I really need your help. Daniel stepped out to resolve a problem in the kitchen and left me alone, but there's a table over there that's getting impatient. They're VIP clients, from what I understand from the notes, and they've already been waiting for 15 minutes. Lucas looked in the direction she was pointing and immediately recognized the Stern couple, important investors who had been frequenting the restaurant for years. Robert Stern was clearly annoyed, gesturing to his wife while looking at his watch. "You're right, they look pretty steamed," Lucas agreed. "What kind of help do you need?" Maya lowered her voice as if she were sharing a secret. "Look, I've never worked in a place like this, you know. So do fancy, in other jobs, when the customer got angry, I solved it with friendliness and charm. But here it's different. These people are used to a standard that I don't know if I can deliver. You seem experienced. You must know the tricks to deal with this type of clientele." The vulnerability in her voice touched something in Lucas that he wasn't expecting. How many times had he witnessed employees with years of experience treating VIP clients with professional coldness? And here was a girl on her first day, genuinely concerned about doing a good job, asking for help, with a humility that disarmed any pretense. "Come with me," he said. "I'll show you how it's done." They approached the Stearns table. Lucas greeted the couple with the ease of someone who had known them for years, but introduced himself only as Lucas from customer service. Maya watched, fascinated, as he transformed irritation into satisfaction in a matter of minutes. "Mr. and Mrs. Stern, I apologize for the delay. We had an exceptional situation in the kitchen today, but I guarantee your experience will be flawless," Lucas said, with a warm smile. "To compensate for the inconvenience, I would like to offer a special appetizer that is not on the menu. Our house-smoked salmon carpaccio with Mediterranean capers and truffle oil." Robert Stern's eyes lit up. "The smoked salmon you make here?" "Exactly. And to accompany it, may I suggest the 2019 Chablis? It pairs perfectly with the flavors of the carpaccio and will prepare your palate for the main course." Maya watched, the interaction wide-eyed. How did he know all these details? The tone of voice, the posture, the knowledge about wines. Everything seemed too natural for a simple waiter. But her admiration grew with each word. After seating the couple and taking their order, Lucas returned with Maya to the reception desk. "How did you do that?" she asked, impressed. "You know the clients, you know details of the menu that aren't even written here, and you even suggested a specific wine. How long have you worked here?" "For a while," Lucas replied, amused by the situation. "Experience helps. But look, you did very well. Recognizing that you needed help and asking was very smart. A lot of people try to solve it alone and end up making the situation worse. My grandma always says that it's not a shame not to know. The shame is not wanting to learn," Maya commented. "And I really need to learn. This job means everything to me." Something in the intensity with which she said that made Lucas pay more attention. "Means everything how?" Maya hesitated for a moment, but there was something in the gentle way he asked that made her open her heart. "My grandma is sick. She needs expensive medications and constant medical care. I've been working since I was 15, but always in jobs that barely paid the basics. This is the first real opportunity I have to give her a decent life, to maybe one day be able to do something for myself too." Lucas felt a pang in his chest. How many employees did he know who worked out of real need, not out of ambition or career? And how many of them did he really know beyond the numbers, on the payroll? "And what would you like to do for yourself?" he asked, genuinely curious. Maya smiled with a mixture of dreaminess and melancholy. "It may sound silly, but I've always wanted to work with animals. When I was a child, I dreamed of being a veterinarian. I took care of all the stray dogs and cats in the neighborhood. My mom said I had a gift for calming the most frightened animals." She shrugged, "But life took other directions. Maybe someday, right?" At that moment, Lucas made a decision that would change the course of both their lives. Instead of revealing who he was and transforming that genuine conversation into a formal interaction between boss and employee, he chose to continue being just Lucas, the experienced waiter. "You know what?" he said. "How about I help you learn the details of this place? I can teach you about the regular clients, the special dishes, how to deal with different situations. If you really want to make this work, you need to know all the secrets." Maya's eyes lit up. "You would do that? But why? You don't even know me." Lucas looked at that young woman who, on her first day of work, had genuinely cared about the satisfaction of the clients and had not hesitated to ask for help to do better, who spoke of her sick grandmother and old dreams with a disarming honesty, who had been working since she was a teenager and still maintained the ability to smile sincerely. "Because," he replied, "it's been a while since I've seen someone who really cares about doing a good job for the job itself, not just for the paycheck. And because everyone deserves a chance." Maya extended her hand to formally shake his. "Thank you so much, Lucas. I promise I won't let you down." When their hands touched, Lucas felt an electricity he wasn't expecting. And Maya, looking into the eyes of that man who had appeared in her life at the most opportune moment, had the strange feeling that this encounter would change everything. And over the next 3 days, Maya always arrived half an hour early for work, eager to find Lucas and continue learning. He had become her unofficial mentor, always appearing at the beginning of the lunch shift with the same waist apron and the same willingness to teach. "First important lesson," Lucas said on Tuesday morning as they organized the tables for service. "Every client has body language. See that gentleman over there?" He pointed discreetly to an elegant man who had just entered. "Tense shoulders, checking his watch, quick steps. He's in a hurry and probably stressed. The approach has to be efficient and direct." Maya watched attentively as Lucas greeted the client. "Good morning, Mr. Harrison. Your usual table is ready, and I can tell you in advance that the chef has prepared the grilled salmon exactly as you like it." The man visibly relaxed and smiled. "How did you know what he wanted?" Maya asked when they returned to the reception desk. "He's been coming here every Tuesday for 2 years. Always orders the same thing, always in a rush because of meetings. Knowing the habits of regular clients makes all the difference." Maya absorbed every detail like a sponge. Lucas taught her about the wines on the menu, explained the preferences of VIP clients, showed her how to fold napkins in different shapes for special occasions, and even shared stories about the restaurant's philosophy that enchanted customers. "Hartwell's isn't just a restaurant," he explained as he helped Maya organize the reservations for the next day. "It's an experience. Every person who walks in here needs to feel special, unique. It's not just about the food, it's about making someone feel welcome." "You talk like you know the owner personally," Maya joked. Lucas smiled mysteriously. "Let's just say I studied the history of this place a lot." With each day, Maya improved visibly. Her approach with clients became more refined, but without losing the genuineness that characterized her. She memorized the names of the regular customers, learned to suggest dishes based on demonstrated preferences, and developed a sixth sense for anticipating people's needs. "Mrs. Davidson," she greeted an elegant lady on Wednesday. "It's so good to see you again. I've prepared your favorite table by the window, and Lucas told me that we have a special mushroom risotto today that matches your refined taste perfectly." The lady was visibly pleased with the personalized attention, and Maya felt a surge of pride when she received effusive compliments about the service. But it was on Thursday that Maya really surprised herself. A couple of American tourists entered, the restaurant clearly lost and frustrated. They spoke in English, gestured nervously, and seemed uncomfortable with the situation. "Good afternoon, welcome to Hartwell's," Maya greeted them in English. She had studied the language on her own during her school years, using free videos on the internet, and although she wasn't fluent, she could communicate well. Lucas, who was watching from afar, was impressed to see Maya conduct the entire interaction in English, explain the menu, make suggestions, and still managed to make the couple feel completely at ease. When the tourists left 2 hours later, effusively, praising the service, Lucas approached her. "You didn't tell me you spoke English." "I learned it on my own," Maya said, a little embarrassed. "I always thought it could be useful someday. It's not perfect, but it gets the job done." "Maya, that was much more than getting the job done. You saved that couple's experience. They arrived here frustrated and left delighted." At that moment, Daniel appeared at the reception desk. "Maya, I need to talk to you." The manager's serious tone made her stomach clench with nervousness. "Did something happen?" she asked, fearing the worst. "On the contrary. I received 3 calls today from clients specifically praising your service. The Stearns said they had never been so well received. Mrs. Davidson said she felt like family, and that American couple sent an email saying you were exceptional." Daniel seemed genuinely surprised. "In 15 years managing restaurants, I have rarely seen a new employee cause so much positive impact in so little time." Maya looked at Lucas, who was smiling proudly beside her. "I had good guidance," she said modestly. "Well, whatever it is, keep it up. Oh, and Maya?" Daniel lowered his voice. "There are rumors that the owner himself may be making a surprise visit soon. If you maintain this standard, I'm sure you'll make a good impression." After Daniel walked away, Maya turned to Lucas, radiant. "Did you hear that? 3 compliments. I've never, in any previous job, I received feedback like that." "You deserve every compliment," Lucas said, and the sincerity in his voice made Maya's heart race. "You have a natural gift for this. You treat people with genuine respect regardless of who they are." "I learned it from you," Maya replied. "The way you handle each client, how you know their stories, it's inspiring." Lucas felt a pang in his chest. For years, he had watched his restaurants from afar, analyzing reports and numbers, but working alongside Maya, he was rediscovering the magic of personal service, the satisfaction of seeing a customer smile, the importance of each employee feeling valued. "Maya," he said impulsively, "after work, how about we grab a coffee? I want to tell you some stories about this place that aren't in the manuals." She hesitated for a moment. "I'd love to, but I need to get home early. My grandma is alone all day, and I like to keep her company at night. What if I bought a coffee to go and we talked right here after the restaurant closes?" The smile that lit up Maya's face was answer enough. "That would be perfect." As they finished organizing the reception for the night shift, Maya couldn't stop smiling. In just 4 days, her life had changed completely. Not only had she found a job that fulfilled her, but she had also met someone who believed in her potential. Lucas, in turn, watched Maya putting away the reservation binders with the same care. She treated each client and wondered when was the last time he had felt so energized about work, or when he had met someone who inspired him so much without knowing who he really was. Friday started differently. Maya arrived at work with red eyes and an air of exhaustion that Lucas noticed immediately when she walked through the employee entrance. "Maya, are you okay?" he asked, abandoning what he was doing to approach her. "My grandma had a bad spell during the night," she explained, trying to straighten her uniform with trembling hands. "I had to take her to the hospital. Her blood pressure spiked and she had a hypoglycemic episode. The doctors said she needs more intensive monitoring and..." Her voice trailed off. "And what else?" Lucas asked gently. "The medications she's taking aren't working anymore. They'll have to switch to more expensive ones, and they also recommend that she have someone with her all the time. I calculated the cost during the night at the hospital." Maya took a deep breath. "Even with this job, it won't be enough. I'll have to look for a second job, maybe the night shift." Lucas felt his chest tighten. "Maya, you can't work 24 hours a day. Your body won't hold up." "I don't have a choice," she replied, forcing a smile. "But don't worry, this won't affect my work here, I promise." The lunch shift was an endurance test for Maya. Despite trying to maintain the standard of service, Lucas could tell she was fighting exhaustion. Her movements were slower, her smile forced, and she mixed up 2 reservations during the busiest period. That's when Patricia Armstrong arrived. Patricia was known in the New York food scene as a ruthless critic, owner of an influential blog about upscale restaurants. She was also a distant cousin of Lucas, although they didn't have a close relationship. Famous for her difficult temperament and impossible demands, Patricia had the power to ruin the reputation of any establishment with a single negative review. "I have a reservation for 2 under the name Armstrong," she announced to Maya, speaking in a tone that already made her superiority clear. Maya checked the list and frowned. "Ms. Armstrong, I'm not seeing your reservation here. Are you sure it was for today?" "What do you mean you're not seeing it?" Patricia raised her voice, attracting curious glances. "I called yesterday and spoke with someone at the reception desk. I demanded a table by the window and said it was for a special occasion." Maya checked again, but there was no reservation in the name of Armstrong. The system showed that all the window tables were occupied or reserved. "Ma'am, I really couldn't locate your reservation, but I can offer you an excellent table here in the center of the room, or if you prefer to wait." "Wait!" Patricia exploded. "I'm Patricia Armstrong. Don't you know who I am?" Maya, exhausted and trying to maintain her composure, answered honestly, "No, ma'am, I don't, but I can assure you that we will do our best to accommodate you in the best way possible." The mistake was fatal. Patricia felt disrespected for not being recognized, and her fury grew exponentially. "This is absurd. How can a reception employee at Hartwell's not know the city's top food critic?" Lucas watched the scene from afar, torn between intervening and letting Maya resolve it alone. He knew that interfering could expose his true identity, but he saw Maya struggling against an impossible situation while dealing with her own emotional exhaustion. "Call your manager immediately," Patricia demanded, "and I want to speak to the owner of this establishment. I will make sure everyone knows how the employees here treat important clients." Maya felt the world spinning around her. It was her 6th day of work. She was dealing with her grandmother's health crisis, worried about bills she couldn't pay. And now she was facing an angry customer who threatened her continued employment. Daniel appeared quickly, attracted by the commotion. "Ms. Armstrong, 1,000 apologies. Maya, go to the back, now." For the next 15 minutes, Maya waited in the back of the restaurant while she heard Daniel trying to appease Patricia. When he finally appeared, his face was grim. "Maya, I need to talk to you. Ms. Armstrong is one of the most influential critics in the city. She is furious at not being recognized and is threatening to write a devastating review about the service." "Daniel, I swear there was no reservation in her name. I checked 3 times. "I know, I checked afterwards. It was probably a communication error from last night, but that doesn't matter now." He sighed heavily. "Maya, you are a good employee, but this kind of situation cannot happen, especially not now." "What do you mean?" "The owner is going to make a surprise visit next week. If Patricia publishes a negative review right now, it will be a disaster. I'm going to have to suspend you for a few days while I resolve this situation." Maya felt the floor collapse beneath her feet. "Daniel, please, I need this job. My grandma is sick and without this salary." "I'm sorry, Maya. My hands are tied. Come back on Wednesday and we'll talk about your situation." When Maya came out of the back of the restaurant, Lucas was waiting for her at the reception desk. He saw immediately in her eyes that something terrible had happened. "I've been suspended," she said simply, "for a few days, maybe permanently, if that woman really writes something bad about the restaurant." Lucas felt a mixture of anger and helplessness. With one word from him, he could solve everything. fire Daniel, completely ignore any criticism from Patricia, guarantee Maya's job. But doing so would reveal his identity and completely change the nature of the relationship they had built. Maya, this is unfair. You didn't do anything wrong. Yes, I did, she replied, taking off her apron with trembling hands. I didn't recognize an important client. In a place like this, that's unforgivable. She looked around the restaurant that had become her world in recent days. Maybe I was fooling myself. A girl from the Bronx who has never had anything in her life, thinking she could work in a place like this. Don't say that. You are the best employee this place has ever had. Maya smiled sadly. Thank you for everything, Lucas, for teaching me, for believing in me. But I think our partnership has come to an end. As she walked out the door, Lucas stood at the reception desk, watching her walk away. For the first time in years, he felt completely lost. He had the power to fix everything, but using that power would mean losing the only genuine relationship he had built in a long time. And Maya, walking through the streets of Manhattan towards the bus that would take her back to the Bronx, wondered if she had the strength to start over once again. Maya spent the weekend immersed in a deep melancholy, taking care of Dolores and trying to calculate how they would manage to survive with their meager savings. Her grandma, noticing her granddaughter's emotional state, insisted that Maya not worry about her, but they both knew that the situation was unsustainable. My dear, you'll find another job, Dolores repeated, holding Maya's hand. You always find a way, but not like this one, Abuela. Maya replied, looking out the window of the small apartment. For the first time, I felt like I was in the right place, doing something that really mattered. On Monday morning, Maya was in the kitchen making coffee when her cell phone rang. It was an unknown number. Hello? Maya? This is Carla from the reception desk at St. Barnabas Hospital. You work at Hartwell's restaurant, don't you? Maya's heart skipped a beat. I used to. Why? Look, this may sound strange, but a man came here yesterday asking about your grandmother, Dolores Santos. He said you two were employees of the restaurant and that he would like to help with the costs of her treatment. Maya frowned. What do you mean? What man? He didn't want to fully identify himself. He just said, Lucas from Hartwell's. He left an envelope with enough money to cover all of your grandmother's medications for the next 3 months, and he also prepaid some appointments with specialists. Maya felt her legs weaken. That's not possible. How much did he leave? Maya, it's over $5,000, and he said that if you needed anything else, just contact the hospital and he would cover it. After hanging up the phone, Maya stood in the kitchen for several minutes trying to process the information. Lucas had used his own savings to help with her grandmother's medical costs. But how would a waiter have so much money available? And why would he do something like that for someone he had known for only a week? Dolores appeared in the kitchen, noticing her granddaughter's confused expression. What's wrong, Misha? Grandma, that Lucas I told you about, from the restaurant. He paid for your medicine. The young man who was teaching you? Yes, but I don't understand how he got so much money. It's much more than a waiter would earn in several months. Dolores held Maya's hand. Honey, sometimes people appear in our lives in mysterious ways. Maybe you should talk to him. Maya spent the entire day thinking about the situation. The more she reflected, the more questions arose. Lucas knew details about the restaurant that seemed beyond the knowledge of an ordinary waiter. He had access to information about clients that normally only managers would know. And now this, a significant amount of money spent on someone he had known for only a few days. On Tuesday morning, Maya made a decision. Even suspended, she would go to Hartwell's to find Lucas and understand what was happening. She arrived at the restaurant in the middle of the morning when the place was calm. She entered through the main door and went directly to talk to Daniel, who seemed surprised to see her. "Maya, I thought you would only be back tomorrow to talk. I came to find Lucas. Do you know where he is?" Daniel frowned. "Lucas? Which Lucas?" "The waiter. Dark hair, wears a waist apron, works the lunch shift. He helped me a lot in my first week." "Maya," Daniel said slowly, "we don't have any waiters named Lucas on the lunch shift. All our employees have been here for a while. I know everyone." Maya felt the world spin. "What do you mean you don't have any? He's been working here for years. He knows all the regular clients. He knows details about wines. Are you sure he said he was a waiter? He wore an apron, walked through the kitchen as if he knew the place." Maya stopped talking, remembering. The past few days, Lucas had never explicitly said he was a waiter. She had assumed it, and he simply didn't correct her. "Maya, the only person I saw talking to you and who could match that description—" Daniel hesitated as if he didn't believe what he was about to say. "What description?" "Mr. Hartwell makes undercover visits to the restaurant sometimes. He wears casual clothes and walks around the establishment observing how things are running, but he never interacts directly with new employees." Maya felt as if the floor had opened beneath her feet. "Mr. Hartwell, you mean the owner, Lucas Hartwell, the owner of the restaurant chain?" All the pieces of the puzzle fell into place in Maya's mind at once. The detailed knowledge about the menu, the access to confidential information, the way all the other employees greeted him with special deference, the money to pay for her grandmother's treatments. She had spent an entire week treating the multi-millionaire owner of the company as a co-worker, asking for help, sharing her personal worries, offering her tips. "I need to get out of here," Maya murmured, feeling her face burn with shame. "Maya, wait." Daniel tried to call her, but she was already running towards the door. Outside, Maya leaned against a wall and tried to breathe. How had she been so naive? How had she not noticed the signs? She had talked about her poverty, about not knowing important people, about learning to deal with rich clients, to the richest man she had ever met in her life. But then, another realization hit her like lightning. If Lucas was the owner, why had he chosen to disguise himself? Why had he spent days teaching her, listening to her stories, treating her as an equal? And more importantly, why had he helped with her grandmother's medical costs without revealing his identity? For the first time since discovering the truth, Maya considered the possibility that the feelings and connection she had experienced with Lucas were real. Maybe he wasn't playing with her. Maybe there was a genuine reason for all of that. At that moment, she saw a familiar figure getting out of a black car at the restaurant entrance. It was Lucas, dressed this time in an elegant suit, walking towards the main entrance. He saw her immediately and stopped, his eyes meeting hers across the distance. For a long moment, they looked at each other in silence. Maya could see in his eyes that he knew she had discovered the truth, and Lucas could see in her eyes a mixture of confusion, hurt, and something that looked like hope. Slowly, Lucas began to walk towards her, and Maya realized that she would finally have the answers she was looking for. "Maya," Lucas said softly, stopping a few feet from her. "Can we talk?" She turned completely to him, and Lucas saw tears glistening in her eyes. "Talk about what? About how you lied to me for an entire week? About how I made a fool of myself offering tips to a billionaire?" "That's not how it was." "How was it then?" Maya interrupted him, her voice rising in tone. "I treated you as an equal, Lucas. I told you about my life, my fears, my financial situation. I asked for your help as if you were a normal person." "But I am a normal person," Lucas replied, taking a step towards her. "Everything we talked about, everything I felt, it was real." Maya laughed bitterly. "Real? You were having fun with the poor little girl who didn't know who she was talking to. You must have thought it was hilarious when I offered to split my tips with you. $42.50. I bet you spend more than that on breakfast. The pain in her voice cut Lucas more deeply than any business criticism he had ever received. Maya, please let me explain. Explain what? That you paid for my grandma's medicine because you felt sorry for me. That your fun ended up costing $5,000. She wiped the tears away with the back of her hand. Do you know what the worst part of all this is? Lucas waited in silence. It's that I believed it. I believed that someone like you could, that we could. She couldn't finish the sentence. Maya, No. She raised her hand to stop him. Don't make this even more humiliating. I get it. It was an experiment for you, a way to study how your employees behave. Mission accomplished. Now you can go back to your office and implement your findings. Maya turned to leave, but Lucas gently held her arm. Wait, please. She turned back to him, and Lucas saw all the pain that his actions had caused stamped on her face. You want to know the truth, he said. On the first day, yes, it was just curiosity. You mistook me for an employee, and I thought it was interesting to see how you would react. But after what? After you offered your tips to me because kind people deserve to be rewarded. After you told me about your dreams of being a veterinarian with tears in your eyes. After I saw you treat a difficult customer with more dignity than many managers treat their subordinates. Lucas's voice softened. After I fell in love with you. Maya felt like she had been punched in the stomach. Don't do this to me. It's the truth, Maya. In the last few days, working alongside you, I remembered why I opened these restaurants. It wasn't for the money. It was because I believe that food and hospitality can make people happy. You showed me that again. Lucas, stop. Please. Maya was shaking. You don't understand. It's not just about the lie. It's about who we are, about the chasm that exists between us. What chasm? Maya looked at the elegant restaurant, then at Lucas's luxury car, then at her own simple clothes. I grew up in a house where sometimes there was no food. You own a restaurant chain worth $28 billion. I've been working since I was 15 to survive. You inherited an empire. So what? So what? Maya repeated, incredulous. Lucas, your world is made up of people like that critic. Patricia, people for whom I am invisible. Your family, your friends, your partners, what are they going to think when they find out that you are dating a hostess who was suspended for not recognizing an important client? I don't care what they think. But I do, Maya exclaimed, because I know how it works. I've lived it before. I've worked in the homes of wealthy families. I've seen how they look at people like me, with pity, with condescension, as if we were charity projects. Lucas felt the despair growing in his chest. Maya, you are not a charity project to me. You are... What? You're Cinderella, you're pretty woman? Maya's voice was filled with heartache. Lucas, this isn't a movie. In real life, differences like ours aren't romantic. They are chasms that swallow people like me. You're wrong. Am I? Maya challenged him. Then answer me one thing. When you go home today, to your apartment or mansion or wherever you live, are you going to tell someone about me? Are you going to tell your family that you fell in love with a girl from the Bronx who takes care of her sick grandmother and who offered you tips? Lucas hesitated for just a second, but it was enough time for Maya to see the truth in his eyes. I thought so, she said sadly. Lucas, you may even believe that you love me. But loving someone means being proud of her in all areas of your life. It means not feeling ashamed when your peers find out about her. Maya, I just need time to what? To figure out a way to fit me into your world, To transform me into someone you can introduce without embarrassment? She shook her head. I don't want to be transformed, Lucas. I want to be accepted as I am. Maya began to walk away again, but this time Lucas didn't try to stop her. Thank you for paying for my grandmother's medicine, she said without turning around. I will find a way to pay you back every penny. I don't want to owe you anything. Maya and Lucas? She turned around one last time. Next time you want to study your employees, be honest from the start. It's less cruel. As she walked towards the bus stop, Maya felt like she was falling apart inside. She had found love, purpose, and hope all at the same time, and she had lost everything equally quickly. Behind her, Lucas stood on the sidewalk, watching the woman he had fallen in love with disappear into the crowd. For the first time in his life, all his money and power felt completely useless. He had hurt the only person who had treated him like a human being in years, and he didn't know if there would be a way to fix it. That night, Maya cried herself to sleep on the small sofa in the apartment in the Bronx, while Lucas remained awake in his penthouse in Manhattan, both separated by a few miles that seemed like an insurmountable ocean. During the next 3 days, Maya tried to resume her routine prior to Hartwell's. She woke up early to take care of Dolores, went out looking for work, and returned home in the late afternoon. But something had changed irrevocably inside her. For the first time in her life, she had experienced what it was like to work in something that really fulfilled her, and now any other job seemed colorless. You're not okay, my dear, Dolores observed on Thursday morning as Maya stirred her coffee distractedly. Since you came back from that restaurant, it seems you've lost the light in your eyes. I'm okay, Grandma, just processing some things. Does it have something to do with that guy, Lucas? Maya sighed deeply. She had told Dolores about the discovery, but not about the feelings involved. How could she explain to her grandmother that she had fallen in love in a week and that love seemed impossible? Yes, it has something to do with him. And why don't you go talk to him? Because we're from different worlds, Grandma. He's rich, I'm poor. He's the boss, I was an employee. It won't work. Dolores held her granddaughter's hand with the firmness she could still muster. Maya, I've lived 82 years in this world. I've seen a lot. I've been through a lot of hardship. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's that the heart doesn't understand social class. But people understand. Society understands. Society, Dolores repeated with a sad smile. The same society that said a poor black woman couldn't be a teacher when I was young. The same society that said your parents couldn't get married because she was white and he was of mixed race. My dear, if everyone listened to society, you wouldn't even exist. Maya looked at her grandmother, surprised. Dolores rarely spoke about the past in such detail. Your parents loved each other, Dolores continued, and they fought for their love. They faced prejudice, judgment, family that didn't support them. But they fought, and they were happy for the years they had together. She squeezed Maya's hand. You have the same blood as them, the same courage. That afternoon, Maya was returning from another unsuccessful job interview when she passed a newsstand. On the cover of a gossip magazine, a headline caught her eye. Lucas Hartwell single. At 33, the billionaire who can't find love. Impulsively, she bought the magazine and read the article on the bus. The text talked about how Lucas, despite all his wealth, maintained a private personal life and had never been seen with any serious girlfriend. It quoted sources close to him saying that he was too picky and that he perhaps preferred work to love, but it was a sentence at the end of the article that hit her like lightning. Close friends comment that Lucas has recently seemed more distant than usual, as if something was deeply bothering him. Maya closed the magazine, feeling a mixture of pain and something akin to hope. Could it be possible that Lucas was suffering as much as she was? On Friday morning, Maya made a decision. She couldn't pretend that nothing had happened anymore. She couldn't accept that that week at Hartwell's had been just an illusion. She needed to understand if there was something real between them, or if it had all been her fantasy. But first, she needed to do something she had been putting off. Go to the bank and find out exactly how much Lucas had spent on Dolores's treatments. No matter how long it took, she was going to pay back every penny. She couldn't start a new life carrying that debt. At the bank, the manager checked the payments and informed her of the total amount, $8,300. Maya felt the air leave her lungs. It was more than she could save in an entire year of work. But she wrote the amount on a piece of paper and left determined to find a way. During the rest of the day, Maya visited all the places where she had already worked, asking about extra positions, night shifts, anything she could do to increase her income. She got 2 weekend jobs, cleaning in an office and caring for the elderly. It wouldn't be enough to pay off the debt quickly, but it was a start. That night, while calculating how long it would take to gather the money, Maya had a revelation. It wasn't just about paying back the money. It was about proving to herself that she could be independent, that she didn't need charity from anyone. It was about regaining her dignity. But there was something more. Dolores was right. She had the blood of her parents, who had fought for their love against all adversities. And if Maya really loved Lucas, she needed to fight for that love, not hiding behind wounded pride, but facing the situation head on. On Saturday morning, Maya woke up with a determination that she hadn't felt for days. She put on her best clothes, carefully styled her hair, and took the money she had managed to gather. Just $200, but it was a start. She would go to Hartwell's, look for Lucas, return what she could, and have an honest conversation with him. But when she arrived at the restaurant, she found that Lucas wasn't there. Daniel informed her that he had traveled to Los Angeles on business and would only be back on Monday. More than that, there were rumors that he was considering selling the New York restaurant and moving permanently to Los Angeles. Sell, Maya repeated, shocked. That's what I heard. It seems he's lost interest in the business here in New York. He's been different since last week. Maya left the restaurant with her heart racing. Lucas was thinking of leaving. If she wanted to talk to him, it would have to be on Monday. It would be her last chance. During the weekend, Maya planned exactly what she would say. It wouldn't be an emotional conversation. It would be mature, honest, and definitive. She would return the money she had managed to gather, apologize for having reacted so drastically, and then move on with her life. But on Sunday night, while rehearsing the words for the 10th time, Maya realized that she was lying to herself. She didn't just want to say goodbye to Lucas. She wanted to fight for what was between them. She wanted to at least try. On Monday morning, Maya arrived at Hartwell's at 10 o'clock, determined to find Lucas and have the most important conversation of her life. She didn't know what the outcome would be, but she knew she couldn't live with the what if for the rest of her life. Maya found Lucas in the restaurant's administrative office, hunched over papers scattered across the table. He looked up when she knocked on the half-open door, and for a moment both were silent, absorbing each other's presence. Maya, he said, standing up, I wasn't expecting. I need to talk to you, she interrupted him, entering the office with determined steps. And this time, I want the complete truth. Lucas closed the door behind her. Go ahead. Maya placed an envelope on the table. $200. It's what I've managed to gather so far of the $8,300 you spent on my grandmother. I'm going to pay back every penny, no matter how long it takes. Maya, I don't want your money back, but I want to pay you back, because I need it to be clear that I'm not here out of gratitude or for financial gain. She took a deep breath. I'm here because I fell in love with you, Lucas. And before you say anything, let me finish. Lucas nodded, feeling his heart race. You were right about one thing. I was afraid. Afraid of not being enough for your world. afraid of becoming a joke among your friends, afraid of being treated like a charity project. Of charity. Maya took a step towards him. But do you know what scared me even more? The idea that you would leave without me having fought for what I feel. Maya, no, let me say everything first. You told me you fell in love with me, but when I asked if you would tell your family about me, you hesitated, and I interpreted that hesitation as shame. But then I thought, what if it wasn't shame? What if it was fear too? Lucas felt as if she had read his thoughts. Because the truth is, I would also hesitate if someone asked me if I would tell my grandma about you, Maya continued. Not out of shame, but because when you truly love someone, you want to protect that feeling until you're sure it's reciprocated. Until you're sure it's worth risking everything. That's exactly it, Lucas whispered. Then answer me now, without hesitation. Do you feel for me what I feel for you? Lucas walked until he was right in front of her, his eyes locked on hers. Maya, in the last few days without you, I understood something. All my money, all my social standing, everything I've built, none of it matters if I don't have someone to share it with, and I want to share everything with you. Even knowing that I'm going to continue being the girl from the Bronx who offers tips to billionaires. Lucas smiled for the first time in days, especially because of that. Maya, you taught me something that no business school teaches, that true success isn't what you build, it's how you treat people during the construction, and you treat everyone with the same dignity, from the cleaning staff to the most demanding customer. Maya felt tears welling up in her eyes. Lucas, I don't know how a relationship between people so different works. Neither do I, he admitted, but I want to find out together with you. And Maya, he took her hands in his. About my family, my friends, society. You want to know something? In the week I worked alongside you, I learned more about leadership, about compassion, about what really matters, than in years of executive meetings. Anyone who can't see the incredible value you have doesn't deserve to be in my life. Maya couldn't hold back the tears any longer. Are you sure? Because I'm going to keep taking care of my grandma. I'm going to keep being stubborn and independent. I'm going to keep wanting to pay my own bill at the restaurant. I don't want you any different, Lucas said, wiping a tear from her face with his thumb. I want you exactly as you are. Maya Santos, the woman who made me remember why I started all this. And I want you as Lucas, not as Mr. Hartwell, she replied. I want the man who taught me how to fold napkins and who split tips with me. When they kissed, it was with the intensity of two people who had almost lost something precious. It was a kiss that sealed not only the love between them, but also the promise that they would face any obstacle together. Months later, Maya became not only Lucas's girlfriend, but his business partner. Together, they implemented a revolutionary program at the Hartwell's chain. All executives, including Lucas, should work 1 week per month in operational roles in the restaurants. The Hartwell's on the Frontline program became a case study in business schools. Maya also realized her dream of working with animals, but in a way she had never imagined. With Lucas's support, she opened a non-profit that offered animal-assisted therapy for seniors in medical treatment. Dolores was one of the first beneficiaries, and her improvement with the company of the therapy dogs was impressive. When they got married, a year later, the ceremony was held at Hartwell's restaurant itself, with all the employees present as special guests. Dolores, now stronger and healthier, was the one who gave Maya away, whispering in her ear, "Your parents would be proud. You fought for your love." During the speech, Lucas joked, "Maya was the first person who treated me as an equal without knowing who I was. And I discovered that that's how I want to be treated for the rest of my life." Maya replied, "And Lucas, was the first person who helped me without expecting anything in return. That's how I learned that that's how I want to love forever. Today, their story is told in the company's training sessions as an example that true luxury isn't in the linen tablecloths or the imported wines, but in the ability to see each person as worthy of respect and care, regardless of their origin or social position. Dear listeners, we hope that Maya's journey has touched your hearts as much as it has touched ours. Her story reminds us that true love knows no social barriers and that sometimes our greatest fears can turn into our greatest achievements. To continue this emotional journey with us, we have prepared a special playlist with equally engaging stories about second chances and overcoming obstacles. You can find it by clicking on the link on your left. If the story of Maya and Lucas moved you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like the video. Every day, we bring unique narratives that explore the beauty and complexity of human relationships. Don't miss our next content, and we hope to see you in the comments to share your own stories of love and overcoming.